Hello everyone and welcome to my Soap Twist 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The air in Willow Creek, where whispers fly faster than the wind, was dense with secrets. Secrets clung to the walls of old houses, crept into sidewalk cracks, and lingered in the stares of neighbors who knew more than they admitted. At the center of it all was Luna Harper, a woman whose life had become a puzzle, with each piece more jagged than the last. Luna had always been a dreamer, with eyes that inspired people to believe in the unimaginable. She grew up in Willow Creek, the daughter of a schoolteacher and a mechanic, and her childhood was humble but full of love. She met Will Dawson in high school, a lad with a crooked smile and a heart that was too big for his own good. They were inseparable, the type of couple who looked destined to overcome the obstacles. By the age of 25, they were married, living in a small house on Maple Street, and dreaming of a future with children and a porch swing for leisurely summer afternoons. However, as is often the case, life had other intentions. Luna learned she was pregnant 3 years after they married. The news brought excitement, but it also brought a shadow that neither she nor Will could identify. Will, who worked long hours at the lumberyard, was excited yet detached, his thoughts distracted with expenses and the weight of supplying. Meanwhile, Luna poured her heart and soul into getting ready for the baby, crocheting little blankets and painting the nursery a beautiful shade of yellow. She did not detect the fissures in their marriage until they were too large to ignore. The first sign of problems was when Will began staying out late, claiming work had run over. Luna trusted him, but the whispers about town were harder to deny. People reported seeing Will at the Rusty Anchor, a local tavern, with a lady named Clara, a bartender with a bad reputation. Luna dismissed it, telling herself it was only hearsay. But skepticism, once established, takes root. Then came the DNA test. Will insisted, even though Luna didn't want it or even contemplate it. His voice was stern, and his eyes avoided hers as he continued. "We need to be sure." The words stung, but Luna agreed, hoping it would allay his anxieties. She knew the kid was his. How could it be otherwise? She had never strayed, never even considered it. However, the test results, when they arrived, broke everything. Bill Harper, Luna's older brother, found the report. He'd been helping Luna go through medical bills at the kitchen table when he came across an envelope from the lab buried beneath a pile of paperwork. His hands trembled as he opened it, his eyes searching for the words that would change everything. The baby was not Will's. The father was named Deacon. Deacon Sharp. The name hit Luna like a punch in the chest. He was a drifter, someone who had come through Willow Creek the previous summer and stayed just long enough to leave an impression. He'd performed odd jobs at the lumberyard, his peaceful attitude and piercing blue eyes attracting notice everywhere he went. Luna had only met him once, at a cookout organized by a mutual acquaintance. They had talked for hours that night about anything and everything, including music, dreams, and the stars. It seemed innocent at the time, but the recollection of that night now seemed like a betrayal she couldn't understand. Will left the day after the results were out. He didn't yell or accuse. He simply grabbed his things and went out, leaving Luna with a half-painted nursery and a heart full of questions. The town was abuzz with the news, and gossip spread like wildfire. Luna became a pariah, with every action analyzed and every tear evaluated. She stopped going to the grocery store and stopped answering the phone. The world she knew had crumbled, and she was left to sort through the rubble. Bill, being the protective brother, attempted to piece everything together. He tracked down Deacon, who now lived in a little apartment 2 towns away. Deacon neither denied nor confessed anything. His expression was one of sadness as he told Bill, "I didn't know, man. I had no idea it might have been mine." He said he and Luna had merely talked and nothing had happened, but the DNA test revealed a different story. Bill wanted to believe him and his sister, but the proof was obvious. Luna, meantime, was lost in her own confusion. She had no recollection of anything that had happened with Deacon and couldn't believe it. She spent nights replaying the cookout, looking for a moment she had missed. Had she been drinking too much? Had she been overly trusting? The questions tormented her, yet the answers remained out of grasp. Her body felt strange, and her pregnancy reminded her of a reality she couldn't embrace. Luna's tummy expanded during the months, but her spirit contracted. She stopped leaving the house, and her world shrank to the four walls of her bedroom. Bill attempted to assist, giving her groceries and sitting with her in quiet when words failed. But even his affection couldn't fill the gap left by Will's disappearance, the town's verdict, or the mystery surrounding her own child's origins. The baby was delivered on a dreary April morning, a girl with blue eyes like Deacon's. Luna called her Iris after the flower that grew despite the storm. Luna felt a glimmer of hope when holding her kid, but it faded quickly. The weight of the uncertainty pressed down on her more than ever. She cared deeply for Iris, but every time she looked at her, she saw the questions she couldn't answer. Deacon came to see them once, a few weeks after Iris' birth. He stood at the doorway, hands deep in his pockets and eyes locked on the floor. "I don't know what to say, Luna," he muttered. "I don't know how this happened." She wanted to yell and demand an explanation, but she was too fatigued. Instead, she let him hold Iris and saw his expression soften and tears well up in his eyes. He left an hour later, vowing to help in any way he could, but Luna knew he would not stay. Drifters never did. Will, too, maintained his distance. He occasionally gave money and signed checks sent in unassuming envelopes, but he never called or visited. Luna learned he'd gone to the city and was beginning over. She didn't blame him, really. How could he stay when the life they had created was founded on a falsehood she couldn't explain? Iris grew up to be a bright, curious youngster, oblivious of the tempest that had surrounded her birth. Luna did everything she could to protect her and provide her with a happy and fulfilling existence. But the questions didn't go away. They lingered in the peaceful moments as Iris' eyes mirrored Deacon's and Luna's heart broke when she thought about Will. She never discovered what happened that night or how her life had changed so dramatically. The DNA test was a fact she couldn't deny, but it was also something she didn't understand. Willow Creek continued on, as small towns do, discovering fresh scandals to gossip about. But Luna bore the weight of her own story, a heartbreaking, one-of-a-kind tale of love lost, trust shattered, and a kid who was both a blessing and a reminder of a night she could never forget. She reared Iris with all of her love, but at night, when the home was quiet and the world was asleep, Luna would sit by the window, staring at the stars, wondering whether the truth would ever come to her. "Luna," he said as he reached the bottom step. "We need to talk." She nodded, trying to find words. He set the envelope on the table between them, the sound of paper on wood reverberating around the room like a thunderclap. "Do you want to tell me what this is?" he said softly, his gaze cutting into her. Her throat clenched. "Bill, please, don't," he interrupted her abruptly, his voice stern. "Do not beg me to calm down or wait. I have been waiting, Luna. I've been waiting for honesty." He reopened the envelope and pulled out the first page. The words appeared to burn through him. "This means Will is not the father of your child." The stillness that followed was awful. Luna could hear the grandfather clock ticking and the faint rustling of trees outside. "It's not true," she murmured faintly, but she knew it was meaningless. "Don't lie to me again," Bill said, moving closer. "I have the laboratory's original report, the one you and Will replaced with a fake." Tears welled up in her eyes. "I did not intend for this to happen. You didn't intend for this to happen?" Bill snapped. "Didn't you mean to drag my son into your mess? You didn't mean for him to believe that child was his?" Her breath caught. "Bill, please. I was afraid. I wasn't sure how to tell anyone. Do you think I wanted this?" "So who is it, Luna?" His voice was low and threatening. "Who is the father?" Her lips trembled. "It does not matter. It is over. I'm trying to do what's best for the baby. It is important to me," Bill replied, slamming his hand on the table. The baby upstairs started crying. Luna flinched, tears falling over her cheeks. "Bill," she muttered, but he was already headed towards the stairway. "Don't do this," she warned, following him. "Please, not now." He paused halfway up the steps and turned to her, his eyes filled with something she had never seen in him before. Betrayal. Who is it? The truth spilled out before she could stop it. Deacon. The name lingered in the air, thick and nearly deadly. Bill's face became pallid. Deacon Sharp? She nodded quietly. Bill clasped his fists at his sides. For years, he had accepted Deacon's presence out of necessity, as his life was a patchwork of blunders and second chances. But this was inexcusable. He stormed down the steps, grasping his car keys. "Bill, please wait," Luna wailed as she ran after him. "He does not know. I never told him." But Bill had already left. The sound of his engine echoed across the driveway, leaving Luna shivering in the doorway, clutching the baby monitor to her chest as if it could shield her from what was to come. At Il Giardino, a quiet hum of midday conversation filled the air. Deacon was behind the bar, cleaning a glass, when Bill rushed in, slamming the restaurant door so hard that everyone turned. "Bill," Deacon murmured cautiously, placing the glass down. "You look like you're about to break someone's neck." Bill didn't waste time. He marched directly up to him, his eyes flaming. "Do you want to tell me why your name appears on a DNA report for Luna's baby?" The room became silent. Deacon blinked, perplexed. "What are you talking about?" Bill threw the papers on the counter. "I am talking about this. The actual test results. You are the father, Deacon. The baby is not Will's, it is yours." Deacon's mouth dropped open. He was speechless for a moment. He picked up the page, his eyes scanning the text repeatedly, as if the letters might rearrange themselves into something new. This has to be a mistake," he said. "It's not," Bill said coldly. Deacon's hands trembled as he placed down the report. "I did not know, Bill. I swear to you, I had no idea." "Don't give me that," Bill snarled. "You always find a way to crawl into people's lives and wreck them." Deacon yelled, his rage blazing. "Do you think I wanted this? Do you believe I planned any of this? Luna and I were lost. It was one night. I thought it was over. She told me she had moved on with Will." Bill's jaw tightened. "In one night. That's all it takes to destroy everything," Deacon said, taking a step forward. "You can hate me all you want, but I'm not the only one to blame here." "You're right," Bill murmured quietly. "Luna has her share, too. What about you? You're going to have to face this. Because that young girl upstairs has your blood. And the world is about to find out." Deacon's heart beat in his chest. He didn't want his past to haunt him again. Unfortunately, it was too late. News spread quickly in Los Angeles, and by evening, every gossip site had the story. Back at Spencer Manor, Will stood in the nursery, gazing down at the infant who was no longer his by blood. His hands shook as he wrapped the blanket around her petite figure. He wanted to detest her and drive her away, but he couldn't. She smiled while sleeping, and something inside him broke. Luna appeared at the doorway, her eyes puffy from crying. "Will," she muttered. He did not glance at her. "How long did you know?" She took a step forward. "Since before the wedding. I wanted to tell you, but I was terrified." He eventually turned, his face pale and far away. "What are you afraid of? Would I walk away? That I would quit loving you?" "I didn't want to lose you," she explained, her voice shaking. "You were the only source of stability for me. I figured if I could just make it go away." "You can't make a lie disappear, Luna," he stated quietly. "You can only bury it until someone digs it up." She broke down and sobbed. "I apologize. I'm very sorry." He brushed by her, his hand resting on the baby's cradle for a final time before walking away. Luna collapsed to her knees, the weight of her decisions crushing her. Later that evening, Bill waited outside the restaurant again, this time calmer, his wrath giving way to fatigue. Deacon sat at one of the corner tables, peering into his tumbler of bourbon. "Do you mind if I join you?" Bill inquired. Deacon shrugged. "Not sure you're in the mood for a drink with me." "I'm not," Bill responded, sitting anyway. "But we need to figure out what happens next." Deacon nodded slowly. "Bill, I want to do right by her. I will take responsibility. I'll be there for the kid." Bill sighed and rubbed his temples. "You'd better. Because my son is damaged, Luna is devastated, and that baby did not ask for any of this. Deacon looked up. Neither did I. Bill glared at him. You did, the moment you decided to sleep with her. Silence fell between them. Finally, Deacon remarked quietly, Do you ever believe that this is fate's way of giving me another chance? I've messed up a lot, Bill. Maybe this time I'll get it right. Bill eyed him for a moment before standing. If you hurt them again, I'll make sure you never get another chance. He turned to walk away, leaving Deacon alone with his thoughts. Outside, the night air was chilly and heavy with the smell of rain. Bill gazed up at the sky, feeling the first raindrops on his face. He thought of Will and how he'd have to help his kid pick up the pieces of a life-filled life. He remembered Luna, delicate and sorrowful, and the baby whose little heart had unwittingly linked them all together. Inside the manor, Luna tenderly rocked the baby while humming a beautiful lullaby. The tears had dried, but the agony in her chest persisted. She remembered Will's last look before walking out, Bill's displeasure in his words, and the man who had no idea he was a parent until now. The world she'd created had fallen, yet in her arms, innocence breathed, little and perfect. Rumors spread throughout the city over the course of several days. Everyone had an opinion. Some dubbed Luna a liar, while others saw her as a victim of her own anxiety. Will went out, leaving behind the life he had envisioned. Bill attempted to preserve his family's identity by making statements to the press about private family matters. Deacon, for once, remained silent. He went to see the infant every few days, embarrassed and apprehensive, but determined. Luna would watch him from across the room, torn between guilt and gratitude. Will returned one evening as the sun began to set behind the hills. He hesitated in the doorway, apprehensive. Luna froze with the infant in her arms. I just came to see her, he replied softly. Luna nodded and handed him the infant. Will took her tenderly, cradling her like something delicate and beautiful. The infant cooed, stretching out a little hand to his face, and smiled for the first time in days. She's beautiful, he said quietly. Luna's eyes filled again. Will, she loves you. She always will. He stared at her with a softer expression than before. Maybe one day I can forgive you, he suggested. But right now, I just need time. I understand, she said. When he went, Luna remained at the window, watching the taillights fade into the darkness. Deacon walked in the doorway a few minutes later, quiet and uneasy. Everything's changing, she said. He nodded. Yeah. But maybe change isn't always a terrible thing. She stared down at the infant before returning her gaze to him. She deserves the truth. She deserves all of us trying to be better. Deacon approached the infant and touched his little hand. I will try, Luna. I'll try every day. Bill observed them from the doorway, unseen. For the first time in a long time, his rage subsided. There were no easy answers or ideal endings. But perhaps, he reasoned, this was how healing began, not with forgiveness, but with a willingness to confront what was broken. Outside, the rain had finally stopped, casting the city in a silvery sheen. Inside, a baby's faint and steady screams filled the air, a reminder that even in the wreckage of lies, life continued to move onward. And somewhere deep in his heart, Bill made a secret pledge to safeguard that child, regardless of whose blood she bore, since he recognized family was more than simply DNA. It was about the decisions taken after the truth was revealed, the ones that determined who they truly were.